All right, welcome everyone. It looks like everyone's on the call. This is Dr. Golman here. As most of you know, some of you know, some of you don't know. We're going to do a webinar on the universal laws. And we've got a really good turnout. I actually, just so you know, I put everyone on mute because sometimes you get feedback in terms of the sound. So I want to make sure everyone can hear me clearly. So, all right, I'm excited to go through this with you. So first of all, universal laws. There's one great law and seven subsidiary laws. And what is law? And I looked it up. Here's the definition. Law is a system or collection of such rules. That's pretty much what it is. In this case, this is a system of rules that apply to the universe, that apply to everything. When I say universe, I'm talking about all physical matter, mental and spiritual matter, everything. Okay, so that'd be an advantage to know that. Also, where did this information come from? This came from a philosophy more than 5,000 years ago called a Hermetic philosophy. A guy named, Hermes. And I think he's an ancient Egyptian guy. We can say it like that. But his philosophies have been adopted by Greece and also later India. And you'll see his stuff all throughout different philosophies. So that's where it came from. Why should we learn the universal laws? Well, number one, these laws apply to everything. It's like in your town, if you didn't understand that stop signs meant to stop and you just kept passing them up, you'd get into accidents. So here's the thing. When you understand these universal laws, it's not that you can break them, it's that you understand how to work with them. That's a key thing. If you truly know and understand and apply these laws, it has been said that you'll possess advanced knowledge of life and are able to work with life and not have it work against you. That's enough reason for me, all right? So let me show you guys the one great law and seven subsidiary laws. All right, first one great law. Energy is. That's it. And nothing else but energy. That's pretty simple. That means your thoughts are energy. Your emotions are energy. The ocean is energy. That means your body is energy. It means your blood is energy. It means the air you're breathing is all energy. Now, what's interesting is these universal laws, although developed more than 5,000 years ago, have now been proven by science. Because we didn't have the science, back then to figure these things out. But it's been proven by science that absolutely. Ask any scientist, they'll tell you everything's energy. Everything is made of tiny atoms and molecules and electrons and subatomic particles. And we won't go into too much detail here. I don't have the time for it. But the electrons are spinning. When you look at a little atom here, you take the nucleus, you have electrons spinning 6 billion revolutions per second around the nucleus. That's pretty darn fast. But the spinning and the number and combination of electrons creates solid, matter, liquid, gas, and also those electrons go into thoughts and emotions and the spiritual realm. So everything's energy. That's number one. All right, that's the great law. So we have seven subsidiary laws underneath that. The first subsidiary law is called, it's a mouthful, the law of perpetual transmutation of radiant energy. And what this means is that energy is constantly being changed, okay? So energy has, this is how I simplified it, energy has one manifestation, it's motion. The only thing that energy can do is move. However, it has one attribute, which is change. So that means the only thing energy can do is move and change. That's it. Nothing stays the same. Nothing's at rest. Nothing's in inertia. Nothing can be the same all the time. It always has to change. Okay? What I'll do is go through, explain each one of these laws. Then I'll go through and give you some examples of how to apply a situation in your life. Okay? Second law, subsidiary law, the law of relativity. This is the law of relativity. It shares and it says that there's no tall or short. There's no fast or slow. Only different degrees of comparison. There's no hot or cold. Like hot doesn't exist unless you compare it to a cold. So is the law of comparison. Okay, so this will come in handy when we look at how to shift your emotions. All right. The third law of vibration. Science shows that there's actually different degrees of vibration. So here's the interesting thing. Scientifically, what is the difference between thought and matter? Scientifically, the only difference is the frequency of the way those electrons move, the vibration. So this leads to, I like to call this resonance, because just like a opera singer can sing a certain tone, that tone can resonate with a crystal chandelier or a crystal glass and shake the glass. Because although those are two different types of matter or material, the frequency is the same and it amplifies the frequency. Okay, so that's the law of vibration. Everything has a vibration. Everything has a frequency. 4, the law of polarity. Everything has its opposites. Okay, so for example, for every negative situation you have, there's a positive one. For every out, there's an in. For every up, there's a down. For every time you wake up, you're going to go to sleep. Everything in life has its opposites, and I call it the potential law, because that means for as much negative you've experienced, that's how much positive you can experience. But everything has its equal opposite, and it is to the equal degree. Okay. So we've got also the law. Number 5 is the law of rhythm. Boy, this is a someone. If you didn't know this existed, this one will throw you back and forth in life, because that's exactly what it is. It's the law of rhythm. It's the swinging back and forth. It's the movement in and out. The tides go in, the tides go out. The sun goes up, the sun comes down. It's the rhythmic swinging. This really applies to everything. Your organs, your body. You can look at all different kinds of things, but it's the swinging back and forth, especially in the mental realm with your thoughts and your emotions. That means you're happy one day, you're not feeling sad the other day. So it's going to happen. It's a universal law. So when it happens, we don't get caught up by it, since you know it. Okay. Number 6, the law of cause and effect. So this is one of the universal laws that Hermes found, was that everything happens according to law. And I like to call this sowing and reaping. What this law really says is that there's no chance. Nothing happens by accident. And everyone sort of walks around, I know we've heard this idea, but I've never really seen it in a law until now. Whatever you plant, you must reap. For every cause, there's an effect. For every effect, there's a cause. So that'll come in handy as well when we run our situations through it. And let's look at the 7th law. So the 7th subsidiary law, the law of gender. What is that? The law of gender states that everything in life has its male and female principles, or let's call it creation principles. So we're not relating it to male and female. So everything in life has the ability to sort of give and take, right? But there's a creation principle in everything in life, and you can look at this like, let's take man and a woman. Obviously, there's an ability for those two people to get together and create something. But the interesting thing is, within a human being, we also have the creative principle. So you have the ability to originate a new thought, apply energy and execute that thought, and have it manifest in your reality. So you have the creative principle within you. Now that's a key thing to understand, because if you know you've got the creative principle within you, you can create new things. But here's the funny part of it, is when you know this, you guys will become much more responsible after knowing these, because you'll know that what you have in your life is a direct result of creation of your creative principle. So if you have negativity and loss and despair and whatever, you're feeling like crap, you're using creative principle perfectly, but you're applying it wrongly. Okay, so I'll run you through these laws. I know if you're seeing these for the first time, it can be a bit overwhelming, so that's why I try to simplify it. As it took me about 12 years to really understand how to use these. Now, it won't take you 12 years to understand how to use these, but I wanted to understand these in detail, because I said, hey, if these are universal laws, these apply to everything, I want to know them in detail. So I've torn them up, left, inside and out. But let's look at this. How do we apply this? Or maybe I'll go back. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's look. How do we apply this to our life? And I have a couple situations that I wrote down because these are very common situations that I run with people, and people come ask me like, "Oh man, what am I supposed to do in this situation?" So let's just, for example, apply a situation. Let's say you lost your job. And I think if I run you through a situation, you'll then be able to figure out how to apply it to your life, to your situation. But you can take any situation, relationship, whether it be a good one or a bad one. You can take, say your health is bad. You can take any situation and run it through these laws and figure out how to change it. Okay, so let's take the job loss. So I've had patients come in like, oh my God, I lost my job, and they're they're really down. Here's what you do. You sit down first of all, and you literally on a piece of paper write this out. You say, number one, the first great law is energy is. So that means that your job loss and your job is energy. That's the first thing. The reason that's important is because when you crystallize job loss, you're taking that energy and focusing on one aspect of it. But when you broaden your horizon and go, you know what, I'm actually dealing with energy here, it becomes a little bit easier to manipulate. You don't get so stuck and focused on the one aspect you're focusing on. So that's the first thing we're dealing with is energy, not necessarily job loss, but the energy, right? So let's run through the 7 subsidiary laws after that. First would be the law of perpetual transmutation of radiant energy. So let's just call it motion or change. Here's what this means, that you at this moment are going to move and change. Now, the funny part about this is many of us move and change the same way. The universal law says that you're going to move and change. So let's say you lose your job and you're stuck in like, oh my God, I'm sitting here thinking about how I lost my job. You're continually moving and changing the same exact thought process. So this law lets us know, hey, listen, you can move and change a different direction. So what it means is, let's get moving somewhere else. Let's get moving into looking, get into action and create a new change. Now, it is totally your right to sit there and continue changing the same thing over and over again. But knowing this, you may want to get off your keister and go, you know what? The only thing that I can do and life can do is move and change. The only thing my job can do is move and change. Why don't I get moving with it? Okay. Secondly, and you can come up with, by the way, you can come up with several things of how you can move and change. And remember, it doesn't necessarily matter how you move and change. Just get into motion, change, get out and walk, get out and talk to people, get out and look for jobs, but get out and move. Okay. Second, this is the law of relativity. Let's call it the law of comparison. And let's say you're feeling like crap, you lost your job. Here's what you do. You literally compare your situation to someone that's worse, to something that's worse. Let's compare it to, say, someone in 9/11. They're at their job. Planes hit those towers. The towers come down. They lost their job. They also lost their life. Whoa. You start comparing to things like that, and you start going, you know what? My job loss isn't so bad. Because the only reason you're feeling pain is because you're comparing it to something else. When you compare it to something else, why not use this law to your advantage? Because remember, here's the deal. All of this is perceptions. If everything is energy, one person can perceive a situation as good, another person perceives it as bad. But you know what? I personally know people who would beg, they would love to be in your situation with a job loss, because it means they're living in a country that has so much potential. Does that make sense? So that'll shift your vibration, your frequency, which will lead me to the third law, law of vibration. So science, we talked about, shows that there's different degree of vibration, and that is the basis of resonance. I talked about the opera singer and the crystal chandelier. So you have the ability to put yourself in resonance with what you want. Now I can't go in total detail here. The class, November 22nd and 23rd, I will give excruciating detail of how to do this. But just to help you guys out here, what you want to do is how do you change your frequency? Just like a radio, you can tune in to 101.1 or 109.1 or whatever it is and tune into different frequencies. Since everything is in a vibration, pain, suffering, loss, despair, poverty, all in a certain frequency. Abundance, health, success are all in a certain frequency. So you want to set up a polarity, you want to set up the resonance to actually be in vibration or in the same frequency. So what you need to do is put your mind, get clear with what you want. You write down, hey, here's the kind of job I want, and here's what I'm going to do, here's what, and you start changing your frequency. You start bringing yourself back up, because the funny thing is, when you come from lack, when you go, oh, I need a job, I don't have a job, your vibration is lowered, and you're in a frequency of exactly the things you don't want. You'll go to a job interview, and it'll come off horrible. When you raise yourself, right, that's the whole be before you have. Remember the be, do, have principle? You need to become the person who has a job before you actually have it. And that is because of this law of vibration. It puts you in the same vibration, and all of a sudden, opportunities show up that normally wouldn't be there. That is really a big key here. I hope you get that. We move our situation to the fourth law, the law of polarity. Everything has its opposites. So what this means is everything exists in equals and opposites. So for every job that you've lost, that's how many jobs you're going to gain, right? For how much, let's say your health is bad, that's how much potential you have to have great health. So I really like to call it potential. You actually absolutely have no job. That means that the exact same potential exists in the exact same moment on the opposite end of the spectrum to have an amazing job. All right, that's what that says. Fifth is the law of rhythm. Life is going to swing in and out. And so you're going to swing back and forth. When the rhythm swings down, that is the time to stay balanced and remember these laws. Don't get swung down and let your frequency or vibration lowered and change. Let that rhythm swing back and forth and keep your frequency where it is. Because what happens is when you can control your vibratory state, and I'll give you a little tip, the book called The Rays of the Dawn, which we have in the office, pick up a copy of this, but it's a book of energies, a book of frequencies. And the more balance you have, the more able to stay in a balanced state, not be in negativity and fear and worry and anger, the more balanced state you can be in, the less that swinging becomes. You're still going to swing back and forth, but it's a smaller swing. Okay, so you go, listen, I'm not going to let the law of rhythm get me all caught up. It's going to swing in and out. Relationships are going to swing in and out. Jobs are going to swing in and out. Number 6, law of cause and effect. It means everything happens according to law. So, this would be an example of this one. Sometimes I ask someone I say, listen, there's a universal law of cause and effect. That means, universal means it applies to everything, including you and your job and your boss and whatever. And so it means that everything happens, according to law. There's some cause for this effect. There's some cause for the job loss. And they'll go, well, yeah, my boss is an asshole. That's what we get. But when I ask more questions, usually here's what comes out. Well, or, sometimes. Well, I was dating the secretary, which was my boss's daughter, which was against policy. You get something like that. I'm not saying that's every single time, but I will tell you every single time there's some cause. Now, one thing I want to say about this, it's not always that you did something wrong. And I want to really emphasize that. There is some cause. And listen, you guys know whether or not there was something wrong. Sometimes someone in their mind goes, I really didn't want the job in the first place. Well, there's a cause. This person's focused so much on not having the job and hating the job that it changed the frequency and it vibrated the things around them to change the job, okay? But there's another aspect to this. What if you fulfilled your duties in that position universally, and the great universal intelligence wants you to step up to a new opportunity? What it would have to do is swing that law of rhythm to destroy something so you can actually now start building something. So you've got to be able to see that there's total potential. A lot of these laws will overlap, but there's amazing potential when you start looking at these laws, okay? And you'll start noticing just from going through this, your frequency, your emotional state will start coming up instead of being so far down, okay? That's important because the moment it starts coming up, you're in tune with better things. And you also marshal faculties and creative abilities that you normally wouldn't have. Ideas start coming to you, okay? All right, and the last law, the law of gender. This simply states that within you is the creative principle. Within you, you've been given everything to create whatever it is that you want. You've heard the statement that man is made in the image and likeness of his creator. Well, guess what that great creator is? It's exactly that. It is a creator. And so we are mini creators. You could have God, which is the grand organized design, a grand orderly design, which has created all of life. But you want to look at your little life, you are the center of that. You are the God of your life. You're the creator of your mini life. So know that there's principles of creation. Now, when you look at all these, man, you just pull yourself out of this and you start going, man, you'll feel powerful. Like I can absolutely create everything. So I hope that helps you. You can write these down, take a screen capture of this slide, whatever it is you need to do. But make sure you run your situations through these. Do it. Don't just watch this and don't do anything. Because you don't do anything, nothing will change. Of course, I guess that's wrong because everything does change. It'll just change the same way over and over again. Your day is the same. It's a constant changing of the same thing, right? So I want to say something about this law of gender. In the class I'm going to be teaching on November 22nd and 23rd, I will be teaching the principles of creation and how it actually works within your body. And so November 22nd, 23rd, Saturday and Sunday, I'm excited. We haven't announced the location yet, but here's what you'll learn. The one and only process of creation and how to apply it to your life. And by the way, you're already doing it. You just don't know you're doing it. Secondly, we'll go through how exactly your subconscious mind creates good and bad, how to change any negative cycle. I don't care if it's emotions, if it's health, drugs, relationships, whatever negative cycle is there, I'll show you how to change it. Also, how to control your thoughts, emotion, and mind. That is a big deal. And then last, I'll show you how to use the power of self-programming to get what you want. We're constantly being programmed by things in life, everything in life. And I will go through how you can take control of your own programming and not allow someone else to program you, right? So, a couple quick things. For people who are registered early before the class, I'm actually giving a $100 discount for early registration. So jump on this. The class is gonna be fantastic. Also, I'm gonna throw in a free copy of my new ebook. Okay, that'll be out. And also, the third bonus I'm going to give, if you guys sign up early, it helps me because I know how many people to prepare for. I want to be ready for you. We're going to give 2 one-hour group sessions after the course, after the class, to practice the exercises needed to train your mind. One of the things I found is I've taught these classes for many, many years, and what would happen is someone would take this class, and their vibration would be so high. They feel, man, I can change the world. And they would for about a month. Man, things are just changing. And what happens is they would not create the mental patterns because you go back in life and you're going to get swung back and forth here and there. And they allowed themselves to go back down because they didn't train their mind muscle. Many people train their physical muscles, but they don't train their concentration and mind muscles. So I'm going to, after the course, everybody who signs up early, we're going to give each one of you, we're going to meet together in 2 one-hour sessions, and I will show you the exercise to practice. And that's because I want you guys to have lasting change. I don't want this to be where you make a great change for a month and all of a sudden everything goes back. This is totally up to you. So I hope this helps everyone on the call. And of course, I'm actually recording this, and I'll actually launch this out and send this out to anyone who's getting this and watching this just via email. Those bonuses apply to you as well. So this is Dr. Golman signing off. Use this method, apply it today, and you'll see an amazing change. Hopefully we see you at the class in 22nd, 23rd in Denver. We'll see you soon.